Hey guys, and welcome to my vlog. My name is Erin and I am a writer. I'm working on several fantasy pieces, so I developed this world-building vlog series to go over some of the things that I've had to think about while creating my fantasy worlds. And this week we are talking about holidays and sacred spaces. So, if you've already watched the last video and gotten the basics of your religion set up, then we can move on to some of the nitty-gritty bits. Consider religious holidays, because they are super ingrained in today's culture, and they're probably going to be factored into your fantasy world too. Holidays don't have to be a huge part of your story, but if you have a properly developed religion, they're probably going to show up at least once or twice, especially if your story is covering an extended period of time. Now, these can take the form of exuberant holidays, solemn days of silence, religious fasting, etc. Obviously, there are going to be secular holidays as well, but that's not what we're talking about today. They can be developed the exact same way as religious holidays, so I'm not going to be doing anything extra for them. So, for each of the religions that you have created, you're going to want to know, at least with relevance to your story, how are they celebrated? You can definitely use real-world examples for inspiration, and consider all the facets that go into modern celebrations. Does the holiday center around food, whether it is eaten or not on this holiday? Are there any drinks that are reserved specifically for it? An example would be the fantasy equivalent of champagne, something that is exorbitant and expensive and only served on this one day a year. Are there specific ceremonies involved? You can consider things like readings from sacred texts, performances, songs, etc. You can even have celebrations that are separated by age, like how children will do modern-day Christmas pageants. Also want to know, where are the holidays being celebrated? Is this a personal thing people celebrate? Do they get together with family? Do they go to a sacred site? If a celebration does need to take place in a specific location, where is that and why? You can celebrate in a sacred building like a church or a mosque or a synagogue. Or you can celebrate outdoors at a sacred site such as Stonehenge or your fantasy equivalent, or just out in the town square as a public venue. Do people decorate for the holidays? Consider things like candles, bonfires, flowers, and statues. Look at the ways that different holidays are decorated for today, and you can incorporate those into your fantasy holidays. Do any of the holidays that you're making involve gift giving? If yes, who is giving the gifts to who? Is this something where people receive gifts, or are gifts left for a specific deity or spirit? And what kind of gifts are they? Are these things that are frivolous? Are they practical? Do they have religious significance? We have tons of different gift-giving holidays, whether they are between family, or friends, or lovers, ones where parents gift their children, and you can decide the dynamics for any holiday that you're celebrating in your story. A really fun way to figure out different types of holidays is literally just do your research. There are so many cool holidays in different cultures around the world, and you can adapt them for your fantasy setting. Now, stepping away from holidays, we're going to talk very briefly about sacred sites. First off, do they exist in your world? These can have the same range as they have in our world. You can have sacred water sources, temples, standing stones, churches, etc. What is it about those locations in your fantasy world that prompted people to designate it as a sacred site? This is usually where some of your myths and legends will come into play. What happened on this spot that makes it important? And do people know the actual meaning of the sacred site, or is it something that has just been lost to time? If your characters are going to be encountering and interacting with specific sacred sites, what is the historical and spiritual significance of them? Now, you don't have to go into a ton of detail. This mostly comes up if your characters are traveling, because you're probably going to be passing something that alludes to, years gone by. And this can bring a greater depth of history to your world. If you pass a set of ruins, a single line will add greatly to the history of your world. Lastly, are there any differences in what is considered sacred between the different cultures, between the different religions, and is there anything specific that they all agree on? I find sacred sites super cool. I love visiting them when I travel. So again, a good way to figure out some neat options is research. There are probably thousands of them around the planet, and they all have different historical significance, different spiritual significance, and they're all so unique and so fascinating, and they're a really fun way to incorporate both religion and history to your world. So that is all I've got for you guys today. I hope that helps a little bit in developing your religion further. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. All my social media links will be in the description below, and I will see you guys next week with another video. Bye!